Welcome back, people. It's really excited that you've made it this far, that you've chosen to continue on with the class. I hope you're finding it useful. Keep letting me know in the comments what you think, how I can do better. I'm going to be releasing these videos a little bit at a time and making them a little bit at a time, so we'll keep an eye on how you're feeling about the class and all that stuff. So, what we're going to do, we're going to get a little bit more advanced. So far, you have seen these variables be assigned to one thing, a string, a number, a boolean. Um, what we're going to do is we are going to close this file and we're going to make a lesson 2. And so I'm going to do new file, lesson2.php, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to change this to 2, and now I have a new blank page. So what we're going to do is we are going to open up our PHP tags, and the idea of a variable storing something is awesome. The idea of a variable storing a bunch of things is awesomer. And so the first thing we're going to do is we are going to learn about arrays. And arrays can be structured in a lot of different ways, and we're going to learn some of the basics now. There are things that we'll learn in the project about sorting and all of that kind of stuff, and normally at this point you would learn more of that stuff, but right now we're going to learn the basics, and then as we get to those things in the class themselves, we're going to take some time and we'll explain them when we're actually using them in something practical. But for now, we are going to continue on the NFL theme, and I'm going to go teams. And what I'm going to do is I am going to, there's a lot of different ways you could write these. So the first way I could do is to take these brackets, which are the left and right braces, people call them, but they're brackets, and we're going to use I'm going to use, for the point of this class, I'm going to use these square things as brackets and the squiggly ones as braces. And I know my code editor just blows up when I hit one of those things, and part of that is so like when you're trying to debug something, you can see the other one. Yours probably is not doing that, and it's probably a little annoying on camera, so I'm sorry about that. But what we're going to do is we are going to define an array. And so I could have team, so I could do team equals Eagles. Like we've seen that. Capital E, gotta respect. So Eagles is fine, but you could define multiples if you put them inside these brackets. And so I can go Eagles, I'll do them in the order that I like them. Eagles, Redskins, and then we'll say Giants, and then Cowboys. Okay, so if you take a look back, what you'll see is that this is in quotes, and what I've done is I've put these in quotes with a comma between them, and I've said the teams are that I like in order are Eagles, Redskins, Giants, and Cowboys. And so if I come in here and do var dump and then teams, then I can come over here and refresh the page, and you'll see it looks a little funny, but I have an array, and basically I have number 1 is the Eagles, and sorry, number 0 is the Eagles, number 1 is the Redskins, number 2 is the Giants, and number 3 is the Cowboys. Now, this looks like crud, and it is a difficult way to view this. So we are going to do something a little different. You're actually going to use a little bit of user spice for the first time. Now, this var dump thing is built into PHP. What we have is we're going to write one line of code at the top here. We're going to say include, and then we're going to put in quotes users / init.php, and we're going to do a semicolon. Now that's not going to change anything there unless you type something wrong, but now we have this here. But now this magical line gives you access to a bunch of the power of user spice, and so we're going to get rid of the word var, and we're just going to put dump, and we're going to save, And now that's a lot prettier and easier to read. And so what we have are 4 items in the array. Now, if you'll notice, they're started as listed as 0. So 0 is the Eagles, 1 is the Redskins, 2 are the Giants, and 3 are the Cowboys. And so basically what it's done is it has assigned a number automatically to these teams. So if I were to take this and put the Redskins at the end, then you would see when I refresh the page that, you know, all the numbers shift around. But the main point is that it has taken these items and has broken them down into 4 separate things starting with 0. Now you might say, how do I reference that? So let's say if I want to get the 0 one, which is the Eagles, I could do echo teams, and then in those same brackets, I put 0. And now when I refresh the page, I'm getting Eagles, and I could come in here and I could put 2 and save it, and I'm getting Cowboys. And so basically what it's done is it's nicely organized that, and it just made what they call a key. And so this is a new concept here. The idea is the key inside the array is 0, 1, 2, or 3, and the team, the value basically, is the Eagles, Giants, Cowboys, and Redskins. So what we've done is we've made what they call an associative array. And so associative array basically means that it associates the value with a number. At this point in the video, I want to tell you, feel free to pause the video and play around with the code and see what happens if you change it a little bit. See what happens if you decide that you want to do something a little different. And then just come back to the video. Now, the other thing that's interesting about arrays is that they don't have to actually all store the same type of data. So I can do data equals, and I can put this bracket here, and I can say 1.2, 1.52, Eagles, true, and then, yeah, that's good. So I've stored 3 different types of data, and then I can do dump data, and now you'll see that it stored a float, a string, and a boolean all inside of this same variable called data. Now, there's one other type of array that we're going to talk about, and that is where we can basically define what we want these keys to be. Let's say we don't want them to be 0, 1, 2, or 3, or whatever. So to make it easier, what we're going to do is let's think of a type of data. Let's say cars. Okay, so we're going to do cars equals an empty array. So we're not going to put anything in it right now. We're just going to say cars. And so if I were to do dump cars, then it would just show us that it's an empty array with 0 items in it. So now, what if I say cars, and then I want to define what that is. So let's say I say have equals Chevy Astro, and then cars want, I keep doing single quotes, which you can, equals Ferrari. I don't know how to spell Ferrari. F-E-R-A-R-I? That doesn't look right. I guess I should have learned how to spell it before I say I want it. You can't own it till you can spell it. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dump cars again. And so this empty one is still from up here, and you'll notice that because this is reading top to bottom, I defined cars as an empty array, and then I dumped it, and I said you have an empty array. Now I defined cars that I have as Chevy Astro, and cars that I want as Ferrari, and it's telling me that there are 2 items in there, and they're both strings, and there we go. So I have basically I've given these names, and there's a lot of times when you may want to do that because you may want to have an actual association with the name in the array. And I know I just used the term association. Gotcha. Okay, so we're going to end it there, and we're going to do a little bit more on advanced ways to make arrays, and only because we're going to use it a ton in the next video.